then you might know what to do. So in lesson 1.5, 7th graders, it's all about the rules for adding positive and negative numbers, okay? And one of the things that is really helpful whenever you have a subtraction is to think of it as plus a negative. So we're going to insert a plus sign in front of where you see a minus sign. If there's not a plus sign there, then we're going to insert a plus sign in front of a minus sign. Now, if both numbers have the same sign, meaning that they're both positive or both negative, then you just combine them. Think of it this way. If it was in January, -5 degrees, you would write that as -5, right? We talked about what integers and how to write integers. So it's 5 degrees below 0. And then the temperature drops, so -3 degrees. If it was -5 degrees and the temperature dropped 3 degrees, we're adding more negative to the temperature. So what is the new temperature? Roy?
-13.
-5 plus -3.
-8.
-8 degrees. Okay? We just add the two digits because they're both negative. Right? Well, what if it was -5 degrees and the temperature rose 3 degrees, +3? What if the two numbers have opposite signs? One is negative and one is positive. Daria?
You put the plus sign in front of the...
Yep, put the plus sign, so we're adding positive. Good. Insert the plus sign.
It's -2.
And it's now -2 degrees. Here's why. If you have opposite signs, one is positive and one is negative, then you take away the smaller absolute value from the larger one. You subtract them, subtract the smaller absolute value. The absolute value of 3 is 3. And the absolute value of -5 is 5. And so to find the difference, you would do 5 minus, or take away, 3. And then you use the sign of the larger absolute value. Since -5 is a larger absolute value, we use a negative sign in our answer. Just to find the difference in their absolute values and use the sign of the larger one. You make the answer the remaining amount. That's another way to think of this. Since -5 is less than 3, if we're on the negative side on a number line, and we go to the right, or +3, we're still going to be in the negative. And so the answer has to be negative. Okay? Now, what if the number has 2 negative signs, or we're subtracting a minus? We're subtracting a negative number. In that case, the two negatives cancel each other out. Okay? One negative will cancel out the other negative, and the problem becomes just plus. So in that case, if we had -5 minus -3, minus equals plus. Okay? Minus equals plus. Yeah. So, to write that, you can put a big plus sign, connect the two minus signs, and think -5 plus 3. Sorry.
What do the parentheses do?
What do the parentheses do? They're separating the two minus signs. So -5 minus -3 could be written that way, or it could be written this way. They're just separating the minus signs in this case. Okay? So, what's the answer to -5 minus -3? We started with -5 minus -3. It becomes just plus. So the answer is -2 again. Yep. -2. Let's go back to this one. Which one of these is correct?
Middle one.
The middle one. Roy says the middle one. What is the absolute or the negative absolute value of 5? Negative absolute value of 5 is -5 plus the absolute value of -3 is 3. And so the answer is Yep.
Is this recording?
Yeah. Go to your assignment.
We're about to watch Roy go 13.
Go to page 27. Page 27. There are ways to model positive and negative addition. One of them is to use these tiles. Red tiles meaning negative, and in this case they're yellow tiles meaning positive. So, if we have a picture of 4 negative tiles, and it's hard to see the yellow ones. But that's what it has in your book. And there are 7 of them. When you have positive and negative, you're finding the difference. Which one would have a bigger absolute value? Positive or the negative? The positive would have 7 as an absolute value because there's 7 of them. And the negative would have only 4. So our answer is going to be positive. And then you find the difference. For every positive, it cancels out one of the negatives, and you're left with 3 positive. So, -4 plus 7 equals 3. Okay? This is a model of how you would use to, what you would use to solve the problem. And that's how you read the model. Look at number 3. And feel free to copy this part of your homework. Okay?
Number one's better.
Number 3. That one has a number line starting at 0. And then it shows an arrow going to the left. Any move to the left on a number line is a negative move. So this represents a move of -4. And then there's another move to the left. From -4, it goes to -6. So that's a move of -2. Now, how can we get from 0 to negative 6 with these moves? What operation would this be? Emily? Adding. Yep. Negative 4 plus negative 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. That's what this is showing. If we go to negative 4 and then we go make another move to negative of negative 2, you get to negative 6. Now, any move to the right is a positive move. So number 4, on that number line, it starts at 0 and goes to the right 3. So that represents the problem 3 plus, and then it goes to the left 8. So that's a move of negative 8. Where would we end up? Carson.
Negative 8.
So at negative 8, so from 3 if we went negative 8,
Oh. Negative 6.
close.
Negative 5.
Negative 5, the difference between negative 8 and 3, okay? The difference between negative 8 and 3 is negative 5. So that's where we would end up. Represents the problem 3 plus negative 8 equals negative 5. Okay? 3 plus negative 8 is negative 5. All right, your assignment is going to be 1 through 21. Actually, 22. Yep. 1 through 22, all. Yep. Now, you also have a quiz tomorrow. It's over here. So, what's that? Page 27. 1 through 22, all. Now, on your quiz, you're going to be asked some problems like this. The absolute value of a number. Okay. The absolute value of a negative number is positive because it refers to a distance. You're going to be asked which one is greater, the absolute value of negative 30 or the absolute value of negative let's see, of positive 45. And so you'll have to put the symbol in. How would you write? What would the symbol, what inequality symbol would go in between these? Yep, so is it greater than, or less than, or equal? Which symbol would go in between? The absolute value of negative 30 is positive 30. And the absolute value of 45 is 45. And so, which symbol? 30 is less than. So it points to the left. 30 is less than 45. Okay? Now, you'll also have to remember that if the numbers, if we're not talking about absolute value, which one is less?
Negative 30.
45. Which one is less? Eight
Negative 30 is bigger.
is greater than, so we use the greater than sign, right? Negative 30 is greater than negative 45 because negative 45 is farther to the left, right? Then you're going to have to add positive and negative. So, for example, you're going to have to add negative 78 plus negative 45. How would you do negative 78 plus negative 45? They have the same sign, so you would add the numbers. Just add the numbers. Negative 78 plus negative 45 would be negative 120. And if you have one that is positive and one is negative, like negative 35 plus 20. Negative 35 plus 20. How would you find the answer to that? Find the what? Would you add them? Would you add these two?
Yeah, sure.
This 50, negative 55? Or would you subtract them and write the sign of the bigger absolute value? Yes, you'd subtract them and make the answer negative because the negative number has a bigger absolute value. The negative number is further away from 0. So the answer is negative 15. If we were at negative 35 on the number line, and then we went to the right 20, we would still be in the negative. Okay? So, this will be on your quiz. You have to review that and practice that for tomorrow. And then the last one, negative 5 minus 3. Remember that? What would you put in between those? Okay, so if you put bars, you could think of it as the absolute value of negative 5 plus the absolute value of negative 3. But the answer is going to be negative, isn't it? Yeah. No. Because we're adding, remember, if they have the same sign, you combine the numbers. This is just like negative 5 degrees minus 3 degrees. So it's negative 5 degrees plus negative 3 degrees. And that is negative 8 degrees. They have the same sign, so you add the digits. Okay? Any questions on this? All right, Alex.
Okay, how do you draw a model for the thing? Like, is it the line model or is it like the boxes model?
The boxes model. Okay? And when you're doing a box model, since rather than using different colors, Alex, you could just use plus signs and minus signs.
Okay.
So for minus 4, you can just write 1, 2, 3, 4 minus signs. And for plus 5, you could write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus signs. And then cross them out. 1 plus is left over. Okay? That's a good question. I forgot to show you how to draw those simple models. Okay, quiz tomorrow and assignment.